Hey guys, I'm Jessi Kneeland. This is part of my ongoing Q&A series, Ask Jessi Kneeland. Today I have a question from Stacy. She writes, I really dig your video on just asking directly for exactly what you want, but I'm curious what you think about people getting annoyed when you do that. Do you just accept that not everyone is going to like you all the time and move on? How do you handle people getting mad or annoyed at you for stating your needs? Stacy. Okay, so when I read this question, I had just like this flash image of my mom's husband. So he had done something in the yard and was really excited about it, was asking for my mom to come see it. And he just said, like, come see what I did. She's like, all right, hold on. She's in the middle of a task, doing something in the kitchen. And so he just waits, and is like, all right, like, come on. And to me, this moment, he so perfectly knew what he needed. And he knew exactly what to ask for. And he knew that, like, she was going to do it eventually. But she's like, you're rushing me. She had a little moment of like, I don't know if annoyed is the right word, but a little bit of like, all right, okay, yeah, let's go look at the thing. And to me, this is just such a beautiful example about how when what we're most afraid of, that annoyance thing, it's really not a big deal. It doesn't matter in the big scheme of things. However, I think boys and men are often taught to absorb that, and that's just like the way things are, and that's fine, and then that's something they're worth trading. But girls and women are taught to fear it. So we're taught to be afraid of, or like to avoid people being annoyed or mad at us. Now, the reason that this is so important is because if you're avoiding people being annoyed or mad at you, then you're really not going to have the opportunity to ask for what you need, because it's always going to be a possibility that your needs put someone else out a little bit. That's kind of just how stuff works. Not always, obviously, and I do think it's in service of everyone's winning, because when you get your needs met, you show up better for that person. However, sometimes you're getting your needs met by like asking someone else to, put down like a complicated project in the kitchen and come look at something outside, and that's not like what their plan was. So that you might come across those little moments of like, okay, geez, I guess, yeah, let's go do it, right? There is that, and that can be on various degrees. But I think girls and women often don't have practice absorbing that. So first of all, I will say that yes, some people will have expectations of you being a good girl and like not asking for anything, not being annoying, not being in the way. And those people, you might have to reteach them as you start to ask for your needs to be met, and you start to be like, hey, I need this from you. Hey, I'd like this, or whatever. As that happens, those people might get phased out, or you might have to have conversations like, by the way, this is what's going on for me. But when just for most people, when you think about that annoyance that you're inviting, essentially, kind of by asking for your needs to get met, I encourage you to think of it as your ask coming with a cost. It won't always, and the cost will change, depend on the situation, but it's up to you to weigh that cost and then absorb that cost and decide which ones are worth absorbing and which are not. But that just knowing that you can be a little bit braver and absorb a little bit more is probably a good place to start in general. Because ultimately, a little annoyance in exchange for getting what you need is really worth it a lot of the time. I've, at the risk of coming across as needy, which is something that, of course, girls, and we never want to be called needy. Oh God, needy. I ask for everything like that I want, and it can come across as needy. I'll straight up be like, hey, I'd like you to tell me what you like about me. Tell me how pretty I am, whatever it is. If that's what I'm craving and the person's not thinking of it organically, like I tell them what I want and need. Sometimes I tell them, hey, I need you to come up with this stuff on your own. I don't want to be scripting you for it. But those are things, depending on the situation, that the person might respond with being put out and being like, really, you need me to drop what I'm doing and tell you how pretty you are? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a part of it. That's a part of loving me. Like, that is going to be a part of loving me. And honestly, being annoyed with each other is a part of loving each other for everyone. Think about, like, this is the whole thing with siblings. Like, no one drives you as crazy as your siblings. It doesn't mean you love them less. And I think the nice thing as you start to practice this, and the thing that a lot of times, men kind of know intuitively and women don't know because we haven't practiced, is that a little annoyance is not the same thing as losing someone's love or approval, which means you can you can risk it. It's okay. You can annoy people as a part of loving you. That's okay. That has no impact on the love. It's completely separate from the love and the approval that you're getting, and therefore it's okay to brave that sometimes, or a lot of the time, or whatever. Because the people who are willing to be there with you and give you your needs, meet you halfway and offer you whatever it is that you're asking for, like, if they're a little annoyed occasionally with you, that's actually totally fine. And it's just your job to practice asking often enough for the things you want that doesn't sound so scary anymore. It's really literally your job to practice annoying people by asking for what you want. Find out where those limits are. You might come up across one and be like, that was not worth it. That's not something I'd like to repeat. But that's about finding your own boundaries. That's literally like how you find your boundaries, as you push them a little at times. And so often we've been taught not to push these boundaries, never annoy anybody, never, put someone out. So see what happens if you start putting people out by asking for what you need. Hey, this is important to me. I need you to do it. I need you to give it to me. I need you to, whatever the thing is, emotionally, mentally, in terms of like actual literal physical things, like ask for what you need to be happy, and then take responsibility for doing it. Like it's your job to ask for it. It's not their job to know. And the more you ask, the braver you get, the more you see that a little trade-off sometimes is totally worth it. You might put someone out, but ultimately you are going to be a better person who shows up in a bigger way for the person whose life you put out, minorly, and that's worth it for everybody, because then that's a way that you guys can fuel each other, and everybody wins. So that is my answer, and yeah, I hope that helps.